What's good, everybody? Tristan Vukcevic is en route to the DMV, man, because at this point, we just need somebody to play center. So we're going to talk about that, and we're getting into a preview for tomorrow night's game in Houston against the Rockets. So rock with your boys on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. And we appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use promo code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for our first deposit matchup to $100. So Tristan Vukcevic is finally en route to DC to join the Washington Wizards for the rest of the regular season. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at a preview for tomorrow night's game in Houston against the Rockets. So this is per Bullets Forever. Definitely shout out to Greg Feinberg. We've had him on the show before. He is Tristan Vukcevic signed to a multi-year deal. Obviously, he had to be bought out from KK Partizan, his team in Belgrade, Serbia. And looking at some stats, looking at his summer league stats from his previous summer league for the Wizards, he averaged 11.8 points and 6.5 rebounds in 4 games. And looking at his stats from KK Partizan, the top league in the Serbian basketball league, in 14 appearances this year, he's averaging 10.9 points and 3.6 rebounds while shooting 54.4% from the field and 44% from 3. So, we are hurting at center, man. So how excited are you with Tristan Vukcevic coming over, and how much of an impact do you think he can make for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very intrigued, man. I think Yannick Zosa might be next, so we'll see. No, I'm just joking on that one. We probably won't see him anytime soon, or probably ever in a Wizards uniform. But no, especially after last night, man. Looking at Trey Jameson, a guy that they had in the building on their bench on a 10-day contract to come in and literally score 26 points. Like Kuzma said the other night, they just disrespected the game. They disrespected themselves.
Yeah.
Vukcevic, I know he's not much of a defender, but, just having a body in there, somebody who's 7 feet, who can rebound the ball, they just need it badly. A guy who can stretch the floor. Just looking at some of his numbers with KK Partizan, he shot 44% from the three-point line, 54% from the field. You look at the summer, he 10 points and 3 boards a game, and then in summer league he averaged 11 and about 6 boards a game. He's a guy that rebounded the ball pretty well. Didn't shoot the 3 well in the summer league, but yeah, we just need a body out there, man. Like they just got dominated on the boards. I know he's not gonna fix everything, and you got to see what you got in him. He was a second round pick, and we have so many second round picks, but at the same time, you look at the guys that were drafted behind him. Gigi Jackson was available, and Gigi Jackson had 19 points last night. Gigi Jackson's playing really good basketball. Tracy Jackson Davis for the Warriors is playing good basketball in the second round. So we have so many second round picks, and people would dismiss second round picks a lot because we haven't got many first. But you look at the guys that were drafted behind Vukcevic, and they're already making impacts on their teams already. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying there's a lot of pressure on Vukcevic to perform in year one, but there's guys that have already made an impact on their team so far. And there's a lot of guys that haven't and barely got any playing time. Looking at Toumani Camara, he's actually played pretty well for the Blazers, if I'm not mistaken. Imani Bates is in the G League. He was drafted after Vukcevic. And then Seth Lundy hasn't played much. Some other guys have just been in the G League and whatnot. So not everybody has had a great rookie season so far, but there's a couple guys you look at and be like, hey, man, Tracy Jackson Davis, we certainly could use him right now as a big, and then certainly Gigi Jackson, the guy we could certainly use right now. So, but I think he's a solid pickup, and I'm really excited to see what he can do here, man. He's a 7 foot tall, big man that's a stretch 5. Defensively, we don't expect much. But can he come in and give you 8 to 10 points a game? I think he can certainly do that and give you probably like six rebounds to start off.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm very, very excited with him finally coming over here. Like I said, we'll wait on Yannick Zosa, man. I think it's going to be a good while, if ever.
And then the one thing I'll say, a lot of people are saying the timing is odd they're signing him to that 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Some people are saying, like, they're bringing him over now. Is it wasting a part of his contract? Should they have just waited until next year? I don't think it's much of a big deal, in my opinion. I mean, if they like him after this year and next year,
Yeah.
they can easily sign him. And then as far as the G League, I don't think they should put him in the G League at all. He needs to come over and play. We don't have time to really wait, honestly. I mean, I know we're not in playoff contention, but they need to see what they have. And we have no bigs. I mean, what's the point of putting him in the G League when Kuzma's playing center and Denny's playing center?
Oh, absolutely. I agree on all points, man. I mean, definitely he needs to play for the Wizards, man. And I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, offensively, he has a lot of promise, a lot of potential offensively. He can stretch the floor. There's usually the MO with guys coming over from the Balkans, man. These guys can play some ball, man. I mean, they're more technically sound players. So I'm definitely intrigued to see because, looking at his tape, man, his footwork is money. It's just the biggest thing is defense. And obviously, I mean, I'm not expecting too much from defense other than effort. I want to see some effort, which was a problem last night. But definitely want to see a lot more effort on the defensive end from a man because he's got a lot to learn defensively, especially, it's going to take him time to adapt to the speed of the NBA, man. It's a speed difference, and, guys can fly, man. I mean, you got guys that's playing the 5, man, who can move. So it kind of reminds you of football where, your defensive ends, man, they're 40 times. They're looking pretty good these days, man. So it's a whole different game now, So he's definitely going to have to kind of get acclimated to the speed of the NBA, but I think he'll be all right, man. We definitely have to see what we have in him, man. Because look, like you said, we just need a body at center. At this point, we got Kuz playing small ball 5, Denny's playing small ball 5. Depth at center has been an issue all year long. So, why not see what he can do and then go from there? Because these last, I believe, 18, 17 games left in the schedule, it needs to be all about evaluating talent, man. Definitely want to see a lot more Johnny Davis, but looking at Vukcevic, he's got promise. I mean, he could definitely spread the floor, man, and that's definitely the blueprint of the modern day NBA center. Now your center has to spread the floor to a certain degree. And that's something we miss, Daniel Gafford, and he's definitely doing this thing in Dallas right now, man. But, we still had a lot as far as him spanning the game. And, Martin Bagley III he can shoot a little bit, but he's not a sniper, but he's a guy who can definitely spread the floor a little bit. And Richaun Holmes, man, I mean, he's in the paint. So to have a guy that the stretch floor is a good asset to have for this team and evaluating this young talent. So I'm all in favor of him. I'm definitely excited to see what he can do because at this point we just need a body at center, man. And if it's a guy who's a second round pick, like you mentioned, with Gigi Jackson and Trace Davis, man, I mean, that dude just put Wemby on the poster a couple of nights ago. So I mean, this is probably a whole nother conversation with the front office. We both agree that it's way too early to judge, but they got to start hitting these picks, man, because now in hindsight, you're kind of looking at it where you got 2 guys in second round picks who are putting in quality minutes for their respective teams. You want to see the same with Tristan Vukcevic, man. So very intrigued, a lot of potential. Definitely think he can come in right away. I mean, it's hard to tell what the long-term injury issues are with Richaun Holmes and Marvin Bagley because looking at the preview for the Houston Rockets, Richaun Holmes out with a toe, so we'll see if he's available. Marvin Bagley's out, Landry Shaman's out, and obviously Isaiah Livers is out for the rest of the season. So we're dealing with our fair share of injuries. So we could definitely use him, but going forward, we'll see. 2-year deal. I don't have a problem with it. Now the timing. I'm not gonna say his question was kind of like they knew they had to get somebody. They needed somebody to come over here and play center, man, because it was probably between him and John Butler Jr. for the Capital City Go-Go, man. And I probably would still like to see what Butler can do. A little bit of action for the Wizards, man. But I mean, why not? At this point, why not? We need a guy at center, and he's definitely a guy that we got to see what we have in him long term.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what he can do, and like we both brought up, we need a body out there, and this is an evaluation period. I just compared to last year when they just let Johnny play for the last 10 games of the season. They let him start. They let Isaiah Todd play some of the last games. Quentin Jackson when he was on the roster. Jordan Goodwin. I think that was our starting 5. It was like because we went to the Rockets game last year. It was Quentin Jackson, Jordan Goodwin.
Yeah,
Johnny was starting. And Gafford was starting and Kispert was starting. That was the starting 5. I think there's 17 games left. That last 10 games of the season start Jared Butler, Vukcevic at the 5. I know this is, who cares about winning? Just see who we got. Some of the young guys let Johnny rock out for the last 10 games of the year. So it would be Jared Butler, Johnny, probably Denny. Maybe you rest Denny for the last 10 games of the season as well. Corey, maybe he starts at the 3. I'm sorry, Bilal would start at the 3. So Jared, Johnny, Bilal, and Vukcevic at the 5, and then probably put Denny at the 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it's all about that.
It's a wonky 5, but just let the guys play.
Just let them play, right? Just let them play. At this point, just see what you have in the young guys, man. So I can definitely dig it. So we're going to get into a little bit more about the draft a little bit. We're going to talk about, a few misses in here and there about the front office, man. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So you guys are wondering, what is PrizePicks? Well, I'm going to tell y'all, man, it's America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. We're the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And it's demon time on PrizePicks, so you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000, which is cute, man. Demon and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play PrizePicks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. So you can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks, even 3 in some matchups, man. So definitely pay attention with that. And quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types that are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So look, all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use promo code LockedOnNBA for our first deposit match up to $100. And again, all you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba and use promo code LockedOnNBA for the first deposit match up to $100. And as you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on the Sports Today. Baseball fans, I'm a big baseball fan. I can't wait for opening day. Mark your calendars for March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time Zone for the best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. On March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, be the first to get the local insight from the Major League Baseball local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time Zone on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. So, before we roll into the preview, you kind of mentioned it. You mentioned a couple of names, Tracy Davis, Gigi Jackson. I believe we previously did an episode where both of us kind of agreed that it's a little early to judge the front office. I definitely thinking about 3 years till I even come close to judging. But if you look at the fact that I'm a big fan of Bilal. I know you are, but Cam Whitmore came in pro ready. Davis again is posterizing Wemby, and Gigi Jackson's providing good minutes, man. How are you feeling as far as hindsight? Are you looking at them as misses, or are you just? How are you feeling about those selections or the lack of selections? That is.
Yeah, it's like we said, it's just too early right now. I think looking in hindsight with trading that we had the 35th pick of the draft. Looking at the draft, we traded the 35th pick. I know it was something about having too many guys on the roster.
Yeah.
And they traded it to the Bulls, I want to say, for cash considerations or a future second-round pick, where we could have gotten, if we would have stayed with pick 35, we could have gotten possibly both. We could have gotten Gigi and Tristian Vukcevic, a guy that I really wanted, as well as Amari Bailey for the Hornets. I haven't seen much of what he's been able to do so far. And then actually right behind the 35th pick of the draft was Andre Jackson. So I don't want to nitpick them too much just about the second round. I know Andre Jackson, he just had a dunk where his head was like above the rim on the alley-oop, and you brought up Tracy Jackson Davis. I'm not going to act like I was high on Tracy Jackson Davis.
Yeah.
And then Amani Bates, of course, was on my radar. He's in the G League right now. But Gigi Jackson is the guy that we both talked about him in the draft process, a guy that they definitely should have taken a look at for sure. And so that's the only gripe that I got right now. Then I think a lot of GMs right now are definitely going to be, kicking themselves over Cam Whitmore. Obviously, I don't know what the word was, why he dropped. It's not just us. And like I said, it's too early. Bilal's he's playing well. He's just been up and down, just like any normal rookie. So those are some things that they should take a look at, in their evaluation process going forward. But like I said, I don't know why Cam Whitmore dropped all the way to pick 20. So those are just some things I would take a look at right now. And then, like you said, as far as the front office moves, just not trading Tyus. And we can go on. And then Kuzma with the the unofficial no trade clause. So those are just some things to look at for the team, for the front office so far. But I'm optimistic about Tristan, and like I said, I like Gigi a lot. He cooked the wishes last night, but I do like
Yeah.
I like Tristan too. I think he's going to be a solid player. But it's just you got to be objective, and we do have to grade this front office because the last front office, Tommy Shepard, of course, he doesn't get a lot of second chances or any grace. But of course, we gave him a hard time over every pick that he made.
Yep.
So and some of his picks are turned out pretty well because everybody talked about Denny and Halliburton and Tyrese Halliburton. Of course, everybody gave Tommy a hard time about that. But in reality, now looking at it, Denny's turning out to be a really good player. Will he be an all-star like Halliburton? Who knows? But Denny's turned out to be a good player. He's turned out to be a really, really good player. I'm happy with what we've seen with Denny so far. But basically my point is it is early, but I do want to see somebody hit the ground running pretty soon within year 2 or 3.
Oh, I'm with you, man. You definitely want to see a little more immediate results as far as your draft capital, your draft picks, man. But here's the thing about the NBA, just like kind of like football, man. It's all about system fit. The right situation has to be there for these players, man. And going back to Denny and Tyrese Halliburton, we kind of did a video before, and it's like, would you have still gotten the same player in Tyrese Halliburton with what we had going on at the time? And that's really a good question, man, because you just never know.
Russell Westbrook was there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you probably the trajectory probably wouldn't have been the same as opposed to Denny, where he had to be developed, but now you're starting to see pay dirt as far as his development. And so, like I said, I think we both agree it's a little too early to judge, but every draft you're gonna look at hindsight and say, oh, we're in position to get this guy, to get that guy. To me, the worst was trading from Mike Miller and Randy Foye when Stephen Curry was right there. You know what I mean? But what can you do? It's just one of those things where things happen. Different players go to different systems. I mean, you look at Marvin Bagley III, where coming out of Duke, he was a high, he was a pretty good high prospect, but he found the right system here in DC, and you're starting to see that potential as far as being that scoring big. So, I mean, it all depends. Everything's in hindsight, man. It's tough to really judge, but I think that will be our going forward because, like I said, I'm still a believer in this front office, man. The track record as far as what they've been able to accomplish in Oklahoma City, and look, Oklahoma City, man, they pick a lot of raw prospects. I mean, Usman Dieng, he was very raw. I mean, Jalen Williams very raw. So that's why it's so key to have that developmental staff, man, because to be able to get these guys, work on these guys, develop them right. And that's been the biggest issue we've had in DC is that we have been known to be terrible at developing talent, man. And really evaluating talent. If you go all the way back to Jan Vesley, Lord have mercy. So, I mean, I think I still see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm still willing to give this front office 3 years, man, before I even really nitpick and really question how good they are as a front office because, like I said, everything's in hindsight. Bilal, very, very raw. I mean, we know offensively he's very, very raw. And on one hand, it's tough to say, you look at Cam Whitmore where he came in the ground running, man. I mean, Cam Whitmore came in and he was just more pro ready. But I think, long term wise, Bilal's going to be scary good. I mean, his defense and his wingspan is out of this world, man, and his drive and his potential. So I think it will be all right. We're a rebuilding team. And that's another question too. Where would Cam Whitmore fit in? Is would you play them to 3? Would you play them to 4? How would that meshed with Denny and his breakout campaign? So it's just it has to be the right fit. And would Cam Whitmore have been effective like he is now? We'll never know. Obviously it's just because I was high on Cam Whitmore, but then when we made the move, the leapfrog Indiana, or we made a trade with Indiana to get Bilal, man. Looking at his tape, you see the potential with Bilal. So I get it with Cam Whitmore, immediate results, totally get it. But I think in the long run we'll be just fine with Bilal because he's just oozing with potential, man. Because when he stops growing, man, this kid could be 6'9". I mean, and so we'll see where he fits in long term as far as his place in the lineup. But I think we'll be all right long term, man. So, you got anything you want to cover as far as draft or draft?
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. Like I said, it's still very early. I mean, you brought up as well. Every draft you can say that there's a guy like with Corey Kispert, like Sengun, we're gonna play the Rockets tomorrow. Yeah, Sengun's gonna be out, but I'm happy with what we've gotten from Corey Kispert. I'm very happy. I'm happy with what we're getting from Denny. Rui's gone, but Tyrese Maxey was drafted after him. So you can always go to every draft and be like, oh, they should have got this guy and that guy. So Denny's playing well. Corey's playing well. I think Vukcevic will end up being a good player for us. I think Bilal will be fine for sure. So, but yeah, it's just looking at some transactions and different things, and it's just super early. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt very early. So I won't give them a grade or anything like that yet. But it's just interesting to see their thought process. And the more draft picks they get, you got to get more draft picks so you can throw more darts at the dartboard and just have more chances to get it right. So they got pick. They're going to have a top 5 pick, obviously, this year. And then, you got the 25th pick for the Gafford trade.
Yeah.
So you got 2 picks this year. So let's see how it works out. And then moving forward.
Yep, I agree with you, man. We definitely have to rock out this draft coming up, man. But I think we'll be all right. So we're going to get into a preview for tomorrow night's game. But before we do, he's going to talk to us about Robinhood, the sponsor for the Washington Wizards, by the way.
Yes, sir. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this. Now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right. No cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. The offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC is a registered broker dealer. So thank you guys for checking that out.
Yes, sir. So
Yes,
we're
sir.
gonna get to the preview for tomorrow's night's game against the Houston Rockets, man. So looking at the roster, I mean, but look, both teams are dealing with their fair share of injuries, man. Looking at the Wizards, Sean Holmes, we'll see. Right now, he is day to day with a toe injury. Landry Shamet is out with a calf injury. Marvin Bagley III with the back. And Isaiah Livers is out for the season. So, look, he ain't playing anyways. But looking at the Rockets, man, they got a couple guys out for the year. Terry Easton is out with a leg injury. Steven Adams is out with a knee injury. And Şengün is possibly out for the season with an ankle and knee injury. So his timetable on as far as his return is very murky right now. And Kid Whitmore, we were just talking about him, out for 3 weeks. So I guess looking at the injuries, looking at the roster construction, how important is it for the Washington Wizards to win the battle of the paint?
Oh man, it's imperative. I mean, they got dominated last night.
Yeah,
they really did. No Şengün, so that will help them out. I'm trying to see what their I know Jabari Smith he played center the last game they played. So they are thin at that position right now. Dylan Brooks plays really hard. He's very physical. And they are out with a lot of guys. Tari Eason is out. So they got a lot of guys that are out. Like I said, Şengün, Jeff Green, former Wizard, he's gonna have to play center at times as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just can't get punked and pushed around. I mean, just Trey Jameson really looked like Shaquille O'Neal. Jordan Goodwin had 12 rebounds, so we let a guard. And I love Jordan Goodwin. I'm a huge fan of him. But that's unacceptable to let him have 12 rebounds. That's just inexcusable. You got to have some physicality and play with some toughness out there. And the Rockets are a good rebounding team. They're 4th in total rebounding right now. And that a lot of that is because of Şengün. So with him being out, we'll see how that affects them. They're 7th in offensive rebounding as well. So you can't lose the rebounding battle 50-28 like they did last night. They have to play with some heart and some toughness. So hopefully that loss sparks something in them. The Wizards were playing well the last 2 games. They're on a 2-game winning streak and beat a tough team in the Miami Heat in Miami. So it was definitely interesting to see them lose the way they did. But like you brought up, the paint, they're gonna have to play with a lot of physicality tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, if you look at the roster, they're kind of in a similar position because I mean they're taking a hit at the center position. I mean, Jabari Smith right now is at the center position. They got Dylan Brooks, who really plays the 2 guard or the wing. They got him at playing power forward. So it tells you all you need to know. So I think it comes down to two factors, in my opinion. Number one, coaching. Definitely, I definitely want to see Brian Keefe do a little strategize, man, because like I said, you have a lot of guys playing out of position, in my opinion. So you definitely have to strategize, put people in the best position to get the most out of them. But I think it all comes down to heart. I mean, both, Houston was a team where it was kind of on the rise early in the year, and now, injuries, and, they're kind of taking a dip and really play themselves out of the playoff race in the Western Conference. So it has to come down to heart. It has to come down. We have to win this game more. And if you look at, Memphis and the fact that, the comments were made by Kyle Kuzma where, they knew that the effort wasn't there. And, you have to want the game more, and that's part of culture. And right now that is the most pivotal part of year one of a rebuild is solidifying a culture of playing hard, playing to win. And you didn't see that with Memphis, man. You saw a team that quite frankly quit. And you just don't want to see that because it sends the wrong message primarily to the young guys. And so you have to have a culture of playing to win, playing hard. And so we have to want this game more because look, they got injuries, but then they got a lot of talent, man. I mean, Fred VanVleet, definitely a guy who can get the best out of shooters on the outside. Jalen Green has been playing better. Eamon Thompson has been playing better. I mean, Dylan Brooks, we know what he can do. He's going to do a whole lot of talking. So definitely gear up for that. But Jabari Smith Jr., again, he can play. Jeff Green, former Hoya and Wizard, man. I mean, I was a big fan of him at Georgetown, man. It was him and was it Roy Hibbert, man. So good team in Georgetown with him on the roster. Aaron Holiday, a former Wizard, man. And so Reggie Bullock Jr., the list goes on. They have talent. So we're going to have to want this game more. I think that, I believe we are -8.5 betting odds. So they're the favorites, but it's a winnable game, in my opinion. It has to come down to heart. We have to play to win, play hard, play the right way, man. Definitely play team basketball. Don't revert to ISO ball. Definitely try to get everybody involved. We know that Kuz is going to do what Kuz does. But, when Kuz gets everybody else involved, you see a better product on the floor as far as getting everybody involved. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not going to predict. I'm not going to say we're going to win or lose because I think we're to the point now where it's like, come on, man, let's get the season rolling so, we can get it, to the next phase of the rebuild. But I think the biggest thing I'm looking for is just the effort, man. I want to see the heart. I want to see them playing to win. If there's a talent gap, that's one thing, but play hard, play to win.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they're gonna come out and try to punch us in the mouth, especially Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet. He had a good game last game, 21 points. Jalen Green is explosive. He just had a child. They just announced that him and Drea are bringing in a child to the world, but that has nothing to do with tomorrow. But Jalen Green, he's explosive.
Yeah,
that's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. Whoever's going to be guarding him. I don't know if Bilal's going to be guarding him or they're going to put Danny on him because he's a guy that can certainly fill it up for sure. And then Kuz playing that center position as well. The Rockets, they beat the Spurs 103-101. They actually did a pretty good job on Wemby for the most part. Wemby had 13, which is pretty modest for him. Wemby's been having some pretty big games. But yeah, just ball movement, just playing with some heart and urgency. They just had zero urgency last game. Like Kuz said, they had no respect for themselves at all. Just play with some urgency, some heart, and some toughness. That's all I ask for them tomorrow night. And then look at stats again. It's hard to look at stats for this game because Sengun just controlled so much.
Yeah.
For the Rockets, so much changes for them right now. They are 14th in pace. Offensive rating, they're 24. Defensive rating, they're 7. So they're actually a pretty good defensive team. Looking at it, they have had an underwhelming season so far with some of the off-season signings they had. They're on the outside looking in the playoffs. They're 33-32 right now. But just the rebounding part is going to be huge because they're a good rebounding team. Defend the three-point line. They're not a good three-point shooting team. They're 29th, and then also one of the Thompson twins is on their team too, so they're very athletic too.
Absolutely, man. So I definitely, before we roll, I think the matchup to really look at for is coaching. Brian Keefe, how he's in matchup with Emi Udoka because Emi Udoka he's had his issues, but he's definitely a coach who knows what he's doing, man. The X and O. So definitely want to see how Brian Keefe strategizes against him, man. So again, tomorrow night, 8:00 in Houston against the Houston Rockets. Let's try to get this dub. I'll definitely show you support, man. So before we roll, anything else you want to add real quick?
No, sir.
Cool, man. All right, man. 8:00 tomorrow night. Definitely tune in, everybody. Let's try to show your support. It is a grind time right now, so the season is winding down, but definitely. And again, we want to see some more minutes from Johnny. I just got to throw that out there before we roll. So hopefully Johnny gets some more minutes, man. We'll definitely see. But definitely rock with us tomorrow night. Probably around 11:30, where we do a live recap of the Washington Wizards and the Houston Rockets in Houston. So appreciate everybody rocking with us tonight. And hail to the Wizards. And
I'm sorry. One thing. They're actually 30-35. They're 30-5. They have a losing record. Because I said 33-32. They're actually 30-35.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll take their record before we take ours. So, it's just one of those things, man. But again, definitely appreciate everybody rocking with us, man. So hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys tomorrow night.